Hello, it's Naomi. I've got Rylan here nursing. He always wants to nurse, so I make a video, so that's what he does. This topic, I think the fourth topic, we are talking about, have you ever been hassled by medical professionals, CPS, law enforcement, pediatricians, so on and so forth? Other side booby. Have you ever been hassled by your crunchy lifestyle? And I have been hassled. I've been hassled by Rylan's pediatrician. When we were, going to his pediatrician, we started out going thinking that's what you do, I guess, and that was before, I knew about health and you don't need to see a doctor. There's no point in seeing a doctor, especially without vaccines. So when we were going to see his pediatrician, we did see her at 2, 4, and 6 months. And at 2 and 4 months, he got vaccines. And then at 6 months, I went back into her office and I was telling her, I'm really concerned about how Rylan reacted to this vaccine, the DTaP vaccine. That's the one he got, DTaP. And, I told her he was running a fever. It was 103 fever at 4 months old, and that's really scary, I don't think that that's normal. 103 fever, he literally screamed nonstop for 3 hours. He was screaming for so long that he was like purple. He was sweaty and purple. He couldn't calm down. He couldn't catch his breath. I tried to calm him by nursing him, rocking him, holding him, and nothing would calm him down. He was obviously in a lot of pain. And, a lot of people think that that's normal for vaccines, but I don't think that's normal. I think that that's, chemicals going to their brain and causing overload in their system, and I don't know. I don't think it's normal at all. So I brought that up to her at 6 months and said, I'm really concerned about that reaction, and she kind of gave me this look like, it's fine, that's normal. Yeah, those are all normal. Didn't you read the packet thing we gave you about the vaccines and symptoms to look for? I'm like, yeah, but I don't care what your little packet says. I still think that that is not normal. So, ouch, Rylan, please don't pinch. Oh. So, Rylan nursing is like so painful lately with being pregnant. It's like really sad how painful it is and how much I'm starting to not like nursing him right now. But, we take it one day at a time. Anyway, so, she told us, don't worry about it, it's normal, and I was like, I don't think that's normal, and, she argued with me about it, saying, yeah, it's normal. I'm like, well, I don't think it's normal. And then she's like, all right, well, we're gonna go get the nurse for his vaccines, and I said, no, I don't want any vaccines this visit, and, she was like, well, why? Is it because of that reaction? That's exactly what she said to me. And I was like, yeah, it's exactly because of that reaction. I don't want to do that to him again. I need to do more research about vaccines before I decide to do that. I'm just unsure, and I think that I can wait until we are really sure about, what we should do. And at that point, at 6 months, when he had that reaction at 4 months, I started researching vaccines. I was like skeptical. My friend had mentioned something about like not vaccinating, and I kind of thought that was bizarre. I thought that, vaccines saved us. Vaccines are, necessary or whatever. So, other side booby. Didn't we have the other side already? Can you say hi? Say hi. No, he wants booby. My friend had said that to me, when Rylan was, little, about her, not being sure about vaccines, and I kind of thought she was crazy. I was like, vaccines are pretty important, they saved us, we need them, blah, blah, blah. But then that reaction happened at 4 months, and I started researching. I read Dr. Sears, the vaccine book. I read, vaccine answer book. I read a lot of information online. I read a couple more books about vaccines. A Shot in the Dark. I read a few more books about vaccines. And I came to the conclusion that, well, at first, at 4 months, when I first started researching, I was like, okay, well, so after reading Dr. Sears' book, I was like, well, maybe we should delay and, select vaccines, get one at a time. And then I told, you know, the pediatrician that. She said, yeah, that's fine, but we don't really offer a lot of vaccines in one. Like, they have, you know, like 3 in 1. And, you know, I was talking to her about brands, what brands I would want to choose. You know, certain brands have, you know, no thimerosal and, you know, things like that. And she wasn't very cooperative with me. She didn't want to cooperate. She was like, oh, no, these are the ones we have. And so I didn't like that answer. And then, you know, at 6 months when I refused those vaccines and I said, you know, no, we're going to wait until we do more research. And she said, well, what more research do you need? Vaccines are what keep us healthy. And, you know, she had all these posters on the wall, you know, kids dying and your kid's going to die if you don't get vaccines. And she started pushing that at me, like, oh, what would you feel if Rylan died because you didn't vaccinate him against something that could be preventable? And you know, I didn't like that. I didn't like her harassing me like that. I really felt harassed. This look she was giving me was like, I was so ignorant. And I've said this before, you know, I'm young, so a lot of the times I get a lot of negative, what do you say, negative, I don't know, looks and comments, you know, about my lifestyle, because I'm young and people just assume that maybe I'm just trying to go with the trend or trying to, you know, I don't know, be different. But it's not that at all. I've truly educated myself about these things. I truly educate myself about, you know, breastfeeding and vaccines and childbirth and the food that we're eating, and I truly educate myself about them. And because I am young and because, you know, because I'm young, pretty much, people just automatically assume that I don't know what I'm talking about, or that I just found something on the internet and that's where I get my information or whatever. A lot of people say, you can't believe what you read on the internet. I'm like, that's not my only source of information, you know, that's ignorant of you to even accuse me of that. But the doctor, she, you know, she gave me that look, and, you know, at that point, I wasn't very educated. I was just starting my journey of being educated about the food that we're eating and vaccines and these diseases that are being, you know, we're vaccinating against. I was just starting to educate myself on that, so I couldn't really come at her with a lot of information. Not like she was asking. She was pretty set on, you know, vaccines, you need them, and without them you're gonna die. So I didn't like her response to me not wanting vaccines. And then, you know, she gave me a bunch of information about vaccines and about, you know, they were all like government, you know, we need vaccines because of this or whatever. And I don't know, I didn't like that. I still, like I said, was not very educated about vaccines, but I knew that there was something not right about them and that I didn't want to continue until I knew for sure what was best for Rylan. And so, you know, I told her, no, we're not going to get vaccines at this point. Maybe, you know, we'll come back in a few months, so we may decide to vaccinate, maybe one at a time, but I'm not really sure, you know. And she just gave me a bunch of information about vaccines, and she said, well, if you choose to not vaccinate, we won't see him anymore. We don't want to see him in this office if you choose to not vaccinate. And I'm just kind of like, what, you know? And she said, yeah, it's a threat to our office, a threat to our patients, and we don't want him here. We can't treat him, we can't help him, we can't see him if he's not vaccinated. So that was a huge sign for me. I was like, well, we don't want to come here if you have that attitude anyway. So at that point, I immediately decided we're not going back there. And you know, I started researching more, and the more I read, the more I am like completely disgusted by vaccines, and the more educated I am about these diseases, the more prepared I am to fight off these diseases if we get them. So anyway, that's how I was hassled by his pediatrician. She was supposed to be a really great pediatrician. My midwife recommended her, but I'm coming to realize that the midwife that I had, was not like-minded. She was not into the things I was into. She didn't direct me in ways that she should have or that I wanted her to. So that pediatrician that she recommended, it's no surprise that she treated me that way. But so now we don't regularly go to the doctor now. We only go like if, you know, I want to know if he's, you you know, I don't know if he's really sick, and I just want to know, you know, so I can know how to treat it naturally, or if, like for instance, he split his chin open and we had to go glue it back together. I don't have medical grade glue, so I couldn't do that here, but you know, we go to the doctor for things like that, and we just go to a Health First clinic now, and I found a physician there, and she is like totally on board with everything that I do. She is like, she commends me every time I'm in there, you know, how healthy Rylan is, how wonderful, you know, he is, and how on track he is. And you know, she commends me for, you know, about our vegetarian vegan lifestyle. She commends me on still breastfeeding, and she you know, she never thought twice when I told her we didn't vaccinate. You know, every time we go in there, the nurses still ask, like, do you need vaccines today? And I'm like, no, we don't do vaccines. And they're like, oh, okay. So then they just leave, you know, like nothing even phases them. Like, I mean, maybe they talk about me behind my back or something, but they don't say nothing like mean, or they don't act mean towards me. So I really love that I found someone that like that, and I wish that I could afford to go to like a naturopath doctor, you know, or a homeopathic doctor, but I can't. So we go to the Health First clinic if we need to, and like I said, she is like completely for, I mean, when I told her we don't vaccinate, she said, great, you know, that's what she said. And she hinted to me that her kids aren't vaccinated, that she doesn't vaccinate her own kids. So I really connect with her, and I really am glad that I found her. And it's a shame that that other pediatrician treated me that way, but I'm glad, because it was too far for us anyway. I don't want to be seen by someone who treats me that way, and my kid is not a threat to them because he's not vaccinated. If anything, all of the parents of the children are a threat to her office, because I guarantee none of them have been vaccinated in a long time. So I don't know, that's just, that's the only time that I've been really hassled by, you know, medical professionals, CPS, all of that. I have read lots about people being hassled by CPS for not vaccinating, for homeschooling, for eating vegan, for, you know, things like that. So I don't know, it's kind of scary because it's out of your control then, you know. I think I would just pack up and run away if that happened, but yeah, that's my experience with the pediatrician treating me like that. I guess I'll stop rambling now, but yes, I'm just glad to have found someone else, and to have not felt, I don't know, so a lot of people get in those situations and then they feel like the doctor's right and that they're putting their office at risk, and they just continue to vaccinate and don't question themselves. But I've learned to question everything, and so that is my experience with being hassled. I don't know, I can't wait to hear what all you have to say, so I'll talk to you later. Bye.